Welcome back to our final interview. We've had a whole host of women throughout the show from 11 o'clock this morning. We spoke with Habiba Yusuf and Zainab Asif regarding Bookaholics, two teenagers that are promoting the love of books. Anissa Musa, National Coordinator at the National Shelter Movement of South Africa, talking about their upcoming fundraiser. Then Mishka Taladia, founder of Sukhba Sisterhood, finding belonging in a space of like-minded women. So now I think it's the turn for the men to speak up. And of course, men too have issues that need to be aired. We're going to talk men's mental health, and the tagline here is, "It's okay to ask for help." Our guest is founder and CEO of Safe Talk. He is Lino Muller. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Safe Talk. And I'm so pleased that we have spaces for men. We often talk about women and having spaces for women, very especially the talk, of course, in our country is really issues around GBV. And we do know that victims of GBV are mainly girls and women. But it's also very refreshing to hear that there are safe spaces for men. So tell us how you started up Safe Talk. You are, in fact, the CEO and founder of Safe Talk.
Yes, thanks for the introduction. Safe Talk, I started about 2 years ago. I had just come back from the UK and I worked for an NPO in the UK called Harmless. And they taught me and showed me how important it is to have organizations that deal with mental health and suicide prevention, and how much it was needed in the UK. And if it's needed in the UK, believe me, it's needed tenfold in South Africa, because there's a lot more adversity here and we don't have the channels and the resources like in European countries. So it was my mission to get us talking about mental health in South Africa, and that's why I brought the concept for us to use and start the conversation.
So you've started the conversation, you've launched, obviously, your organization, Safe Talk. Are you finding that men are beginning to feel more comfortable, or are comfortable enough to be able to talk about their issues? And when you tell them it's okay, it's okay. We often hear people saying, boys don't cry or men don't cry. And that is so wrong, because we're telling them you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to have feelings. You're not allowed to feel broken. You're not allowed to ask for help.
Exactly that, Julie. And it's been suppressed from early childhood. I mean, you get hurt and you're told not to cry. Um, you play sport and you're told to push through pain. You're bullied and they tell you to man up. And you grow up believing that it's weakness, and it's not weakness. And all this, I mean, it's cumulative pain that stems from childhood right up to adulthood, that we've suppressed and that we believe that it's shameful to talk about. And this is where Safe Talk comes in. We want to change the culture around that. We need to get safe places for, yes, men, for everyone, but particularly because that is a stigma driven through male societies. Um, so yes, we do need safe spaces, and that it's a lot of work in South Africa. You asked, are men opening up? Yes, they open up through conversation, but we need more conversation. We need to spread it right through society, if I can say that.
The banner behind you reads Safe Talk, starting conversations, saving lives. And one conversation could save a life. We are seeing more and more suicides amongst men in South Africa. Why is this becoming so prevalent? Is it because men are not speaking up? Is it because men do not find safe spaces to go to talk about whatever it is that is breaking them down and diminishing them as human beings? What and how do we support men and make them see that there are safe spaces to go to?
It's always encouraged for men to speak. And that's the easy part, just to say, speak and tell someone your problem. Um, but that's not where it starts. Like you rightfully said, we need the safe spaces. And what is a safe space? A safe space is a space where one does not get judged, or one does not, or where one is allowed to be vulnerable, for instance. Lots of the time, we are judged, and what we say to someone in our vulnerability sometimes, and many often in workplaces or in relationships, gets it gets held against you, and what you've said is weaponized. So we need to definitely find spaces. And how do we find those spaces? Well, it's through education, and that's why Safe Talk runs workshops. And it's funny because sometimes we run a workshop, and just because we're speaking about being vulnerable, we have people that I've never met in a workshop that starts the conversation and starts being vulnerable in front of everyone else. And that's what we need. We need to find comfort and safety in being able to speak, and feel safe when we do speak. And it also stems a lot from you know it's educating the next person, because sometimes we speak to someone and all we get is a lecture in return, and that doesn't make someone feel good. So we need to teach people to listen without judgment, and that's one of our first steps we want to take, is just encourage people to listen.
The reason I have you on the show this morning is we've heard about a famous personality having committed suicide. I think it was a soccer star. And this sends shockwaves through the community. And you kind of ask yourself, what did we miss? Why didn't he reach out for help? How come no one noticed that something was off? We could have saved a life. So, what is it that we have to look out for without being intrusive? So, you have men in your lives, you have husbands, brothers, sons, cousins, uncles, etc. How do you connect with them, and how do you kind of say to them, that they have issues in their lives? You're not quite sure how deep the issues run, and you're not quite sure if they have the capacity to deal with it. So how do you kind of say to them, there are safe spaces to go to, there are people that will be able to listen to you and give you guidance without being intrusive, and
Yes.
without being in a situation where you've lost a loved one through suicide because you were too afraid to tell them there are safe spaces. But hold that thought. Let's go for an ad break. When we come back, you can respond, please.
Sure.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Gaza needs your support more than ever. Homes have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Right now, in some of the most devastated parts of our world, places close to many of our hearts, Doctors Without Borders is delivering emergency medical care where no one else will. Your donation gives a child surgery, a family clean water, a community a fighting chance against disease. This is an opportunity to make your giving count where it's needed most. Visit msf.org.za/sadaqah, that's SADAQAH, and donate today. Doctors Without Borders, we go there.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
My guest is Lino Muller, CEO of Safe Talk. We're talking about issues around men and their vulnerability. So I gave you a whole host of questions before the ad break, Lino. Would you like to respond, please?
Sure. So your question relates directly as to why I actually launched Safe Talk, and that's to teach the ordinary person, the ordinary citizen, to be able to be that safe space for someone. It's to teach us that we are all responsible for each other, and that we don't always have psychologists and psychiatrists and social workers available. So that's why I developed the workshop is to teach you, or to teach the ordinary person, to read the signs, to understand the signals, to destigmatize the thoughts around that, and to be able to let them communicate with someone who's in distress. So, for instance, especially in men, it doesn't always have to be tears that show that there's struggle. In men, you might see anger and frustration and withdrawal, and maybe, unhealthy coping mechanisms like alcohol or drugs or, overworking. These are all signs and symptoms. And like I said, we teach the ordinary citizen to be able to approach your loved ones or your co-workers and ask the right questions and make them feel comfortable, make yourself the safe space.
So how does one actually, get onto these workshops so that we're empowered to be able to create safe spaces for the men in our lives?
Just contact Safe Talk. I mean, we've got a website, and all our contact details are on the website, which is safetalk.co.za, and myself or one of my team members can arrange a workshop. And let's empower each other, and let's be responsible for each other.
Do you take these talks to schools, to campuses, to workplaces? I mean, it's important for men to hear that there are safe spaces and it's okay to feel vulnerable.
Yes, definitely. So we've had a major drive educating teachers, so that teachers can see, the warning signs in their students, because we've had just way too many students taking their lives from as young as 8-year-old, and that's quite shocking. So I found it very important that we educate teachers, so that teachers see the warning signs and are able to communicate, and then obviously go through the right channels for further help. We want to train police officers, we want to train nurses, and we want to train normal corporates. So whoever, anyone in society, your religious leaders, anyone will benefit from knowing how to handle and deal with someone who's struggling. and that we do not shy away from these conversations, that we can hit them head on. And like going into an office and saying, hey, I've got a headache today, I may not be functioning as good as I should. Why can we not go in and say, hey, I'm really emotional today, I'm struggling, and I may not function as well as I could, without judgment. And that's the level we want to get it to, where we can speak about our mental health issues and our internal struggles as much as we can say, hey, I've got a headache, or I've got sugar diabetes. Because there's no shame in saying I've got sugar diabetes. Why should there be shame in saying that, you've got, you're struggling emotionally or mentally?
Sadly, there's still a stigma to mental health issues, is there not? And I think that's one of the reasons why men won't kind of own up and walk in and say, I'm having a bad day today, I'm very emotional, or I'm not feeling really good about myself. How do we break that down? And when I take the conversation back to the suicide being quite high in our male population, that does indicate that we have serious mental health issues in our communities amongst men, which is not being spoken about, which is not being addressed. And because they're not getting the necessary support, it's ending up in a life lost.
Yes. You're 100% correct. And the only way we can stop that is just by going out into communities and educating. Education around it is the key. If we help people understand where people are coming from, and like we said before, it's all about creating that safe space. And funny thing, in one of the workshops, one of the men stood up and said, I do have issues, and there's no way I can speak about this issue to another man because I'll be judged and I'll be seen as weak. And I think in our society, it's a big problem because we have so much adversity, and to be the stigma of being seen as weak seems to put one on the back foot. And, we're very vulnerable to that. And I suggested to him and said, look, maybe if you don't feel comfortable speaking to other men, why don't you speak to a female? And he confessed and said, because if I speak to a female about it, she's going to tell her friend about it and her friend about it, and then everyone will know about my problems. So, it's getting into the mind of we have so many different cultural groups that we need to find a safe space and a different scenario for everyone.
Talking about men with mental health issues, a lot of men do suffer from depression as well because of all the pressures in their life, work, home, relationships, not earning enough money, whatever it is, but a lot of pressures. And when obviously, I think they too afraid to own up about that in the workplace, simply because A, they're going to be judged, and B, they're going to be passed over as far as promotions, etc., is concerned. And the work, the manager or the supervisor and workmates will think, he's just a sissy. And he will lose all credibility with people in the workplace. That is our sad reality, Lino.
That's true. And I'm glad you said that, because I had a webinar with one of our leading medical aid companies or insurance companies where we sort of addressed that issue, and they explained to me that they have all these systems in place where they've got psychologists and they've got motivational speakers and they've got mental health days. And I said, that is all great, but is everyone comfortable enough to use all those facilities that are provided? And it was a very confusing situation for the management, because they said they provided all these facilities, why shouldn't they use it? And I said, because have you created a culture within the company that makes people feel they can use it? Because if we see Mr. Jones getting up and they know that they're going to see the psychologist, it already gets people whispering and judging and speaking, talking about all the stigma, because we are just not there yet. So it's great to have those facilities, and I commend the company for having those facilities. But we need uptake, and we need to change corporate culture, and we need to make it comfortable and normal. We need to normalize that we are able to use these facilities without any shame.
Is this type of thinking prevalent in other parts of the world, in other corporate spaces? And is it working?
It is working, and this is why I took what I did in the UK and I brought it to South Africa, because I think we're at least 10 years behind in it.
Sure.
But it is working, and that's why I found it so important. And I said, if it works there, obviously it's a different situation, and I've adapted the workshops and the talks to our own, to our own country and to our own adversities. But it is working. It is definitely working. There's a lot more tolerance. There's a lot less stigma. I know myself, because I've traveled to the corporates and I've worked within the corporate space, and it's a lot more comfortable and a lot less judgmental.
Obviously, here in South Africa, we are a very patriarchal society, and I think that's one of the problems, is it not? Because it's all about, men really being in charge, being strong, being the warriors, defending the women, defending their boy children, etc., etc. So it's, I think, sad to say to you, Lino, we are a long way from really getting to the space of our UK counterparts, but please God, make it sooner rather than later. We are going to wrap up now. I could sit here talking all day long with you, but there's a wonderful event that's happening this Saturday that you have initiated. Please tell us more about it.
So I will not take credit for the event itself. The credit will go to an organization who deals specifically with men's health, whereby my organization doesn't specifically deal with men's health. We deal with every member of society. But Men of Valor contacted me, and they said that they are including running clubs because and they want me to do a workshop for running clubs. And that is because men get together, even women get together at running clubs, and it's more than just about running. It's about being in spaces where they can reflect, and they wanted to educate themselves more so that they can be more useful to fellow runners in terms of being able to speak about mental health. So on Saturday, Man of Valor invited me to run the workshop for them. And yeah, I look very much forward to it, and I commend them, and I commend the running clubs that are doing this. And this is exactly what creates these spaces where people feel safe, and especially because they'll now be educated on the stigma and the communication and the warning signs and so forth.
Okay, just one more thing. At Safe Talk, do you actually go out to schools and corporate offices, etc., or if someone is struggling with their particular issue, is it as simple as picking up the phone and meeting with you or one of your team members, coming into a very safe space and sitting and talking? Or is this kind of done all online? Because sometimes you just need that human to human contact rather than talking to someone online.
Sure. So right now what we do is we actually go into the space where we are needed, and we run the workshops. And after running the workshops, we obviously also stay for questions. So if I may give you a small example, I went to a school and we saw that there was a need for students to speak out at school. They haven't had that opportunity. So after we did the workshops for the teachers, we got together every Friday afternoon, and we just did a sort of a support group for the kids at that school. So we try to help wherever we can. It's not just workshops. that we do. So after the workshops, we establish what's needed, and we really try and support that through our initiatives.
Lino Muller, CEO and founder of Safe Talk, God bless you for creating this space and creating the awareness around issues, men's health issues, and being a support structure for men who are struggling and feel that there's nowhere they can turn to. God bless you. Keep up the great work. Lovely talking to you. Till the next time, I'm sure there are going to be many more conversations in the future. You go well. Stay strong.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you for allowing me on the show. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. It's 1 minute after 1 o'clock, and of course, you know what that means. Time for me to sign off. I do hope you've enjoyed all the amazing speakers we had online today. I was certainly very, very motivated, and I hope that lives were touched by way of these interviews. Time for me to sign off, and I'd like to wish you a very pleasant, safe, and wonderful week ahead. Take care on the roads. Till Monday morning on News and Views, it is Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.